Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, viewers. Welcome to Evening Review. Let's have a look at today's Namibian Sun newspaper. Tonight we're joined in the studio by a very well-known politician. He has a long track record of serving at the regional government level. Mr. Vetaruhe Kandorozu, welcome, sir.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me here.
It's a pleasure, sir.
Welcome.
Well, it's been a while. Where have you been? What have you been up to since you've left office?
I've been at the village, that side of Maheke region, a village called Mipanda. It's an inheritance village from my dad. So that's where I got a piece of land, because you know we are landless. So I have to squeeze myself into between my brothers and sisters and all the siblings.
Yeah.
So I've been there from the 1st of December up to the 20th of January. So I think that was my first longest stay at home for the past 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take us through your 15 years as a regional councillor of Okakarara constituency.
Yeah, I started when I was 30 years old. I was elected in 2004, the 7th of December. That's when I was sworn in or inaugurated as a councillor for Oshodanjuba Regional Council. You know, in fact, when we have been called constituency councillor, but in fact we are not constituency councillor, because the constituency councillor doesn't exist in the Act. We are only voted from the constituency to come and serve at the regional level. So I was the only youngest, and I was the only member of the opposition political party among the 6 Swapo members. So first it was very tough. I was young, inexperienced, a member from opposition, among the experts councillor that have served, the likes of the late Tio Asep, Peter Kawana, Isaskar Kauyewa, Honorable Shangeta, former MP, and Honorable Kavetuna. So those were the people we were together, and Honorable Goma from Tsumkwe constituency.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we, and also our CEO by then was Dr. Gifidaka.
Yeah.
She served for a few years, 2 years, and then she was suspended. We suspended her, in fact, but the majority did that.
Yeah.
But then at the level of the constituency, it was very interesting. Very few things have happened. Quite a number of issues was not attended to. So we need to go around the community to have the community meetings so that we can collect some ideas from the communities, from the traditional leaders, members of the local development committees, and then to set up the constituency development committees.
Yeah.
So making sure all the structures, they are up and running, do some school visit, institutional visit, hospital, government buildings. So, and that's a routine from year to another year to another year.
Yeah.
So until 5 years back, when Swapo lost Omatako, we managed to have 2 members from the opposition, and then the act was amended to enable the regions to send 3 members to the National Council, and as a result, Swapo sent all 3 members, and then I managed to get the position of the management of the council. Yeah. As an opposition member. Okay. So it was very interesting period. There was quite a number of evolutions, there quite a number of growth in terms of my understanding of the both local authority and the Regional Council Act. I understand it very clear. Also up to the Traditional Authority Act. So because those were some of the legal instruments, tools that you need to carry when you go to the meetings, be it a community meetings or a council meetings, and then the Public Service Act, because we need to deal with the staff as a member of the management committees. You interact with staff members, administrators. So all these tools you need to acquire yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Many a times, those of us who live in the urban areas are not very familiar with the realities on the ground in the rural areas. Can you maybe just paint a picture of what you've experienced during your time serving the rural communities?
Yes, it's a very interesting scenario, because when most of the people that have migrated to the urban due to urbanization, push and pull factors, better education, better sport facilities, better roads, they want to come to urban, get a better job here, and then have a very strategic position. But these people that are sitting at the decision-making level at the central government, they also tend to forget where they are coming from or where they supposed to go during the holidays. First, rural electrification was a big challenge. When I get to the office, Okakarara constituency had about only 6 localities, like villages, that were electrified. Access to rural earth roads. None of rural earth roads were gazetted through the road boards. No telecommunication. School were dilapidated. No police facilities. We had only 1 police at Okakarara. And then we get another one at Okwanjatu. And then later we had another police station at Okamatapati, Coplands, and Okashoru in one go, because we have to invite the Inspector General de Itunga to Coplands so that we explain to him the challenges that are facing us in the absence of the police facilities.
What would you say are some of those biggest challenges?
The biggest challenge, of course, the common one is the cattle theft. Every year is very high because it's one of commodities that people have access to and very valuable. One of the products that contribute heavily to the GDP. So each and everyone want to put hands on it. Yeah. So cattle, it's our diamond. So therefore, cattle theft was very high, and then the common assault, the issue of rape, people that are fighting at the shebeens and bars. So those were relatively cases that were hampering the operations within our communities. Yeah, and then burglaries, obvious, due to unemployment, juvenile people, the young ones that are involved in the juvenile activities. So as a result, we need to push so that the law enforcement can come on board.
You speak as if councillors or the regional government, to a broader extent of which you served, are really at the mercy of the central government. But we are aware of the decentralization policy that was passed years back. it sounds like you're saying that it's not working. Is that what you're saying?
It's completely not working. Yes, we have the Decentralisation Enabling Act that was passed in 2000. But then it started from 1999 and then as policy, and then it was enacted in 2000. And then there were supposed to be delegation of functions to the regional council. And I'm telling you, since the year 2000 up until now, only 6 departments, not even ministries, have been delegated to the region. And it's a portion: Ministry of Works, Ministry of Lands, Ministry of Education, Gender, and now Rural Water Supply. So these are pieces within the ministry. So still everything it's here is decided at the central government. So at the regional level, because they haven't even devolved. There's no, we are not even at the level of devolution where now all the power will be given to the regions. We are not even there. We are only at the delegations. We have to wait the money from the ED to transfer it to the regional bank accounts to make decisions. So even we are saying we want 10 boreholes, still we need to wait from the central government whether they will going to give the budget accordingly or not. They have to decide. You will end up saying we need a clinic at Sarahaipes, but then central government will say, no, we are going to build a clinic at Okakarara. But then the need and the challenges as Sarahaipes is ignored. So that connectivities between the regional and central is still not there. So
why do you think that's the case?
It's power, and the fact of the matter is that the Directorate of Decentralization is being hosted by the Ministry of Urban and Rural Development. But we have been proposing and saying this is a constitutional provision. It's not by chance. So this directorate need to be assigned or to be hosted at the office of the Prime Minister, who is the head of the government operations within the country. He is the one who need to give orders to the EDs, the executive director, and say, this year I want these functions to be delegated to the regions. Now, an ED of the Ministry of Urban cannot instruct the ED of the Ministry of Health. He can't. So therefore, it's very important this directorate to be pushed there and to drive the agenda of this legislation. Now, the other factor is the budget. So they claim as if the regions are not ready, but in terms of the staff, we are okay. We just need some complementary staff in order to execute all the functions that are devolved to the regions. So, but they know that if devolution level is reached, then they are only going to be left with the policy issues only. In terms of the budget, in terms of the operation, will be under the responsibility of the chief regional officer, and then the councillor will decide on operational and policy matter of all these directorate. So it's the issue of stacking onto power, sitting on power. They want to be seen. They want to be on TV. They want to control, but then they do not know what is happening on the ground.
Are you saying this is a deliberate move, or is it really bureaucratic
it's deliberate.
measures that are
It's deliberate.
Why would you say that?
Yeah, because the act is there, the legal instrument that was passed in Parliament, that was brought from Cabinet. So Cabinet need to help this policy, this act to be implemented. But then ministers are there sitting on it. Some of them, they do not even understand whether they should, why should they decentralize or not. So all these things, but then, as I said, power is very sweet. nobody wants to relinquish power just like that. You need to sit on it a bit.
Is that why you stayed on for 15 years?
No. The community decided to keep me there. But it was nice. If you are there, you are in charge. People, they will come to you, they will advise you, they will challenge you, and you will be happy to solve their problems if you manage to solve them. So sitting on power, at times, it sounds to be awkward to others, but to those that are in the positions, they like it, because nobody who doesn't want to control. Everybody wants to control. So if you are given that opportunity, even there are directives through legal instruments, you still need to maneuver on how to go around so that you can delay the process and you remain there. The other concept was, why should the region get the money from the Ministry of Urban? Why shouldn't the region have a direct vote from the Ministry of Finance so that money will be appropriated directly to the regional council, so that there will be a vote for regional council and governors can be given an opportunity, or the chairperson of the regional council can be given an opportunity to come and defend their budget. Even through the Minister of Urban, if it is in that case, only in terms of defending.
Let me just interject there. From an accountability perspective, is that realistic?
It's realistic, because it's in actual fact is what we are doing. The Auditor General is coming to us. They don't go to the ministry. The Auditor General will present the report to Parliament from Hartab region, from Mashodonjuba region, not from the Ministry of Urban. That auditor's report will be named after a region, after a local authority, after either a village council or a municipal council. So what makes it so funny, like for the region, on behalf of the villages, towns and municipality within that region, so that money will be appropriated directly and be given to the region. And in doing that, it will force the ministries to have no other choice but to decentralize the functions to the regions. Because now the regions, they are sitting at the same table where the cake is divided.
So in terms of rural development, speaking from a broader perspective, would we then say the delay in ensuring that decentralization is fully rolled out is the reason why our rural communities are still lagging behind?
Our rural communities are basically ignored. How do you have a directorate of rural electrification? Just that word, rural electrification, but is based in urban, is based in Windhoek. If I need money to electrify a village, I need to request from the ED in Windhoek. I brought a proposal to the former minister Kanjode when he was doing the visit. I said, decentralize the budget of rural electrification to the RETs, because the regional council are shareholder of the RETs. So give this money to the RETs so that we decide which village to electrify this year, plus the dividends and profits that are going that we are going to get from the RETs. Where there is no RETs, like in Hartab, this money will be given to the regional council, and the region will decide. Now, the ministry is inviting the regional council to submit the names of the villages, and then we submit it to Windhoek. Windhoek appoint consultant to come and do the assessment. Now we are saying, no, when you are doing through the RETs, you don't need to appoint consultants to come and do the assessment, because RETs, they have those guys on their structure, on their payroll. So we are going to save quite a number of money that will end up electrify an additional village on top of the one we selected among the others. So when you were supposed to electrify, to energize one locality, you will end up doing two. So these are the things. Why is rural electrification still here? And even the same with Rural Development Directorate. It's in urban here. They decide and say, for small, medium projects, we are going to give you 100,000. So you need to divide among all the 7 constituencies or see what you can do with it.
Yeah.
So, but that's not what we need. We might need more or less, but then the decision is taken from the central government. So why should rural be decided from Windhoek? These guys, they only need to sit here and decide over policy issue. Come to the region, listen to our challenges, submit cabinet submission via the minister, let the act be amended, or the policy, or whatever regulations. So that's supposed to be their job. But in terms of deciding, receiving money from central from appropriation bill, it must be the baby of the region.
Yeah.
Because even rural roads, our roads are not considered. The moment when you deviate from the district road, then it's sandy, it's bumpy, and that's where we stay. We don't stay alongside the main roads, the district roads, only few communities. But then when you go to Oshikoto, the moment you get off the road, you need a 4x4. Most of these small cars, the Pro Bras, these GTIs, they don't reach to the village. They end up at Omuthia.
Yeah.
You see, but the person who is sitting with the decision to allocate money for rural earth road, he's from that same village, but it doesn't come to his mind because everything is decided here. We don't have a directorate for rural roads. Even when you go to road authority, even when you go to road fund administration, they don't have a budget for rural road. Rural roads are ignored. You look at the way rural water supply directorate is suffering. I'm telling you, that directorate is less funded, but it's the most critical directorate. The whole ministry end up not using their trucks to assist the community because of what? Some trucks, their battery are dead. They cannot procure it. Their license disc are not paid over a period of 2 years. So these trucks are packed. So what we need to do in order to get these trucks off to the community, we need to borrow another battery from one car, and then they have to call the councillor and say, "Councillor, please talk to the police so that they can allow this truck to be unroadworthy on the road." That's what is happening. That's what we have been doing. So
you've been doing that as well?
Yeah, I've been doing it. I've been calling the police to allow, because the community need to be serviced. The community, they don't have water.
Yeah.
And more especially during the period of September up to November, where the poisonous plant is very active. It's killing animals, and animals are not allowed to be driven, to be headed for a very long distance. So you need to push so that their boreholes can be quickly rehabilitated and be maintained. So what do? You call the police and say, that truck is not roadworthy, please allow. Don't give them a ticket. So what can we do? We need to go around and be criminally just to help the community. Because we have been, anything that has rural connotation in Namibia is nothing. And that's where we have land grabbing in urban area. And where is that land grabbing is also in rural urban areas. So anything that has to do with rural is not funded. I am doing my thesis for my honors that I'm doing in public management. And my topic is poor implementation of policies that have to do with rural development and poverty eradication in both rural and urban. Even servicing the land where the poor are, where rural people have been hosted. There is no money allocated. Money will be given, and then it will be driven that side where the elites are staying. No potholes where they stay. Water, proper potable waters, sanitation up to standard. So, and the poor, they end up getting nothing, completely nothing.
Yeah.
So, but these people, in December, everybody is migrating, ruralization. They move back to the rural areas and suffer the consequences of their own decision. Poor roads, no electricity, no clinic, nothing.
Yeah.
But he's sitting in a very strategic position. The moment he get into a comfort zone, and he will completely forget where he's coming from.
So do you think increased attention on rural development will ease the increasing urbanization numbers?
Very much, very much. If we have to roll out, like the budget for rural electrification is 40 million. Each and every region get only 2 million. That's one localities. And the priority is where there is government facilities. Now, that budget is little. If we have to increase that budget to 100 million, and we say, okay, or each and every region must get 5 million for rural electrification, and then we create a policy for rural roads, access to the services. People must have access. Now, if you bring electricity, one will sell ice cubes, one will open carpentry business, mechanics. You can mention all this. So what if people will bring cars at that particular village? Why should this person come to the urban area? He will remain there. Yeah. And then tomorrow, the school will be open at the nearby village. Then access to education is already there. Then the clinic will follow. So if we try to develop the regions, and we try to bring the concept of ruralizations, moving people now from urban to rural areas, getting the services. Yeah. Now creating an enabling environment in rural areas so that it can qualify as pull factors to pull people from urban to go to rural. So if we need to have that paradigm shift among our policymakers, administrators, technical guys, people that are dealing with strategic planning at the office of the prime ministers, we will help a lot.
Okay. This brings me to, there has been complaints over the years that some councillors are there just to be seen and not doing much to help their communities. You'll probably want to dispute that, but there has been legitimate concerns from members of the public in this regard. In terms of appraisals, how do we as a public hold councillors accountable?
Your accountability, it lies when you have to cast your vote.
Because we can't wait for 5 years to hold you accountable. What about in between? So you must suffer the whole time.
You must go to the party that brought the person there. You must demonstrate. The party can recall this person through a proper procedures. And then by-election can be held. And then you bring a very active and vibrant person. But then you need to understand, in terms, why is he not performing?
Yeah.
Was he allocated enough resources? Was he not ignored?
Yeah.
So there is someone, because councillors are not getting budget for their constituency. We are only getting an operational budget at the regional level to pay transport, electricity, water, utilities, all these things. But then, as I said, you get a small budget for rural development from the Ministry of Urban, already casted. This program, this program, this program, this program, this budget, this budget. Yeah. You cannot dispute. Yes, at the stronger regional council, they might decide otherwise. But at the weaker and very sensitive regional council that follow up to the letter, they will follow the instruction because now you have a problem. All the ministers are member of the Central Committee of Swapo. Now, politically, a councillor is politically junior to a minister. So now to challenge a senior person to them is also a problem. So,
even at the expense of the poor.
of the poor, because you will fear if you have to bombard the minister, he will go around and talk to the community and tell the community that you are a very problematic councillor and you are not working. So he will propagate you so that you cannot even get the second time. So that's why many Swapo councillors are not performing, because they cannot challenge the system.
Yeah.
They regard as if the system is theirs. But the system is not theirs. The system belongs to the government.
Yeah.
It belongs to the communities.
Okay.
Swapo is only administrators of the decisions that have been taken through legal instruments. So now, that understanding and that song that have been sung over the year, Swapo government, Swapo government, Swapo government, that have indoctrinated our mentality to think the government belongs to Swapo, and that consequently have negatively impacted to the performance of the councillor, because they cannot challenge their own government. It's not their own government. It's all of us government. It's not taxpayers' money from opposition. I'm contributing to that cover. So you have to challenge, you have the right to challenge my portion of the opposition. But only the Minister of Finance have been delegated to take care of the kitty. They are only security guards, in fact. They are minister security guards. They are taking care of that policy to make sure that it's implemented accordingly. But it's not their policy. The moment they are removed, just look what happened at this election. Swapo lost completely of the local authority. Now who's in charge? Opposition political party. Now whose government is it? Are we also going to call Swapo government while the local authority government have been taken away? So that indoctrination mentalities, that syndrome have put most of councillors to be a victim of non-performance.
And just lastly, from my side, on the issue of, I know there has been talks in recent years, at least 2-3 years, and questions as to whether we really need to have regional councillors in urban areas, like in Windhoek, like in Wolfish Bay, where the municipalities are already servicing. What is the work of councillors there? What would you say? Of course, you come from a rural area, so perhaps your experience was different, but do you think the calls to abolish councillors in urban areas, or say in towns and localities, is justified?
Yeah, it's completely justified, because the local authority councillors, they are part-time. They are not full-time, like the regional council. They don't sit in the office. They have their responsibility from 8 to 10. They only attend to the local authority activities based on invitations. So they are not there. They are not visible. So now, communities, they have access to the regional council that are sitting in the urban. There are social issues that the regional council can come in. There are governmental issues that the local authorities cannot attend to, but then the regional council have right over it. And remember, the moment you decide to do away with regional council in urban area, you need to amend the constitution, not even the act. You must go back to the constitution and amend it. And then, but how do you, normally an act is a blanket approach. A law is a blanket approach. It doesn't jump, leave this one and start there. But then the legal expert can advise us on how to go about it. But then there will be a vacuum, because regional council at the regional level is not a matter of being at the constituency, but being at the regional level, at the chamber, at that council. They take very crucial decisions, and also they complement the local authorities' activities and operation. So, as a matter of fact, I will say people in urban areas, they benefit more because they have a budget of a local authority and the budget of the regional council attending to one block. of that particular town or city or whatever. While at the rural areas, you are only receiving one budget of regional council that have to attend at the local level also. So therefore, now the issue of execution of activities and service provision is also personal. How do they execute? How do they complement one another? The local authority and the regional council, how do they complement one another? So it's a topic on its own that need to be interrogated and being discussed with experts with legal background, local authority and regional authority background, people that did public administration and policy analysis. But the need will always be there because people will have access to the regional council more than to the mayor. But until we make our mayor executive mayors so that they can be full-time in the office, maybe in urban area, that's where maybe you need to start now the discussion of to do away with regional councils.
Okay. Mr. Kandorozu, thank you very much for making time to be with us today.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. It was worth coming.
It's indeed a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have a nice one.